Hi, this is the 5th year of the anniversary of the Puerto Rico Fiscal Oversight and Management Board that was approved back in June 30th of 2016 by President Obama and Congress, so that Puerto Rico could really be again with fiscal discipline and to come out of the renegotiation of its public debt. As I am depicting here in the first graph, this renegotiation of the public debt of Puerto Rico has been the most expensive in the history of the U.S. Notice there that so far, and only for the renegotiation, the renegotiation of $27 billion, Puerto Rico has spent $1.6 billion. That's highest than the Lehman Brothers bankruptcy of $957 million, of American Airlines $392 million, and Detroit $178 million. Only for a third of the public debt, and still a long way to go in terms of further renegotiation of the public debt, and in addition, all these retirement fund systems that are already bankrupt as well. The next graph depicts how much the fiscal budget of the Oversight Board has cost Puerto Rico taxpayers, the same as the restructuring of the public debt. It comes out of the budget and the pockets of all taxpayers in Puerto Rico. Well, in 2018, the board started with 19 employees, including the current director, Jaresco, at a clip of $625,000 payroll plus benefits. And the budget was $64.8 million, 3.9 million in payroll, 12.9 in legal services, and $41 million in professional services. Rent was being paid $204,500 in Puerto Rico, and another office in the States at a clip of $36,000. 2019, fast forward, 34 employees instead of 19, budget $57.9 million, payroll already increasing, double $7.5 million, legal and professional services combined $42 million, and the rent both in Puerto Rico and in New York also rising, $324,000 from $204,000 the previous year in San Juan, and in New York from $36,000 in 2018 to $42,000 in 2019. Again, let's fast forward next year, 2020. Now we have 72 employees with a payroll of $10 million and a combined legal services and professional services of $39.5 million. You wonder what is it that they do. And the rent, again, went up to $400,000 from $324,000 in San Juan, and to $45,000 from $42,000 in New York. 2021, the fiscal year which just finished yesterday, June 30th, was 92 employees at a payroll of $10.8 million and combined almost the same, almost $40 million in legal and professional services. The rent stayed the same, $400,000 in San Juan and $45,000 in New York. Combined, all these 4 years, and the 2022 fiscal budget was just approved last night. So again, estimate another $60 million for the fiscal board. Well, all these combined, just from 2018 to these 4 years, 2021, it's about $238 million. Add that to the restructuring that I mentioned before of the $1.6 billion, and that amounts to almost $2 billion that Puerto Rico has spent in the renegotiation of the public debt and this oversight fiscal board, which is going to stay in Puerto Rico for a long time. Well, what do they show for all these monies that have been paid over the past 4 years? Well, the next two graphs, the one on the left depicts the fiscal deficit net of supposedly an estimate of contractual debt service, which we don't know how much that's going to be. But in 2022, the orange line depicts what they estimated for the certified fiscal plan of 2021. And that is an estimate of a $33 million deficit, not surplus, deficit. In 2019, they forecasted a surplus of 249, and in 2020 they had forecasted even a higher deficit of almost $1 billion. Fast forward to 2050. I don't know if many of you are going to be alive, but let's just for the sake of argument, let's present what is the estimate of this fiscal deficit net of the debt service that they are right now negotiating. It's almost $2.3 billion. So that's the fiscal discipline. How about the GNP growth, which is on the right-hand side of this graph? It depicts that in 2022, the fiscal year which just started, is going to be 1.5% real GNP growth. That's the orange line. But notice in 2019, the blue line, they forecasted it was going to be only 0.2% growth. And in 2020, the green line, that it was going to be negative 1.5%. So it's all over the place, from negative to positive. Well, these forecasts, I wonder what these professional services and these consultants are really paid for. What are they their models? And by this GNP growth turns negative. Back in 2023, almost negative 1.5% negative real GNP growth. And then it continues onward negative. By 2025, it's just barely positive. In 2026, 0.7% growth. That's the orange line. And by 2030, it's going to be again negative 0.3%. So you wonder, are these goals of the Fiscal Oversight Board going to be ever achieved with austerity measures that really do not stimulate economic development and economic growth in Puerto Rico? Puerto Rico that has been in depression for the past 12 years, that has undergone Hurricane Maria in 2017, the earthquakes in January of 2020, and then COVID, a shutdown of the economy back in 2020, starting in March 15, and now barely starting to open this economy. Only 70% of those things that need to be done so that Puerto Rico can come out of the fiscal board, not those 70% have not been reached in these 5 past years. So you wonder, what is it that the Fiscal Oversight Board is going to achieve? Not with the austerity measures, we are not going to get any place. We'll still have fiscal deficit and we'll still have negative economic growth. So what is the purpose of the Fiscal Oversight Board? Until the next capsule, don't forget to give us a like in YouTube under the voice of Heidie Calero. Stay safe. Thank you.